everybody. Soren Baker here on Unique Access, and today we're joined by DJ Scratch. Thank you for coming through, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, Scratch, one thing that has always impressed me about your career is that your ability to evolve, you know, from being a DJ to then being a producer to then working in films, being on television shows, and then doing lots of touring on your own. So what, you know, as you were developing and growing as an artist, as a creative person, how do you think you were able to transition into all these different ways?
Well, it was all organic, and just being in the industry for 30 years, you see like the person that was the hottest rapper 30 years ago couldn't be found 5 years after that, and so on and so forth. So for seeing that for 30 years, like for, you know, every couple of years, the hottest artists, and next thing you know, they're gone. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people they rely on when they're hot, and they think it's never gonna stop. You know what I mean? So just seeing that on the outside, from the outside looking in, it's all about just reinventing yourself. It's easy to do. Okay. You know, it's just do it within the culture, and don't think that everything lasts forever, and you can last forever.
Okay. And then to that point, you have had the benefit also of working with some of the guys who have kind of been the exception to that rule, namely with LL Cool J, doing a lot of work with him, and then of course Busta Rhymes. So for working with those two guys in particular, what have you seen about LL that enabled him to come out in the early to mid 80s and still be successful, still be on top now?
Same thing, like he's actually, LL is actually the template for longevity and reinventing yourself. So just watching what he does, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, he stays in shape, because that's his bread and butter. If L takes his shirt off and he got a big beer belly, it's over, because ladies love LL, you know what I mean? So, you know, he just basically focused on what his core fans love him for, and just did that, and then, you know, just moving on. Like, one thing LL didn't do that I wish he did was put out artists. But if you notice, the greatest MCs, solo MCs, never put out artists. Rakim, Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah, LL.
So on and so forth. Keep going. You know what I mean? But excuse me. But LL is the template of longevity and reinventing yourself. Like, he has a hit TV show. He has 2 hit TV shows on right now.
So, as far as the production side, obviously you've done stuff with EPMD before, but then I think as a producer, I think a lot of people start looking at you on a more regular basis through all the stuff you did with Busta Rhymes and the Flip Mode Squad and all the different members of Flip Mode Squad. So what was it about Busta Rhymes that enabled the two of you guys to really form a bond and work so well as artist-producer?
Well, in the history of DJs, DJing for rappers, for groups, usually the rapper only looks at a DJ as a DJ. Okay. And he can have other talents, you know what I mean? So they're only looking at you as that, what you do for them. And when you're working with somebody else, they're looking at everything that you do. You know what I'm saying? So Busta Rhymes, he knows I'm a DJ, I'm a great DJ, but he also knows I have beats as well. So most importantly, like, he listens, you know what I mean? Like, when you're working with an artist, when you're producing an artist, the artist usually doesn't listen to the producer. You know what I'm saying? Like, being a producer is like, it's not just sending somebody a beat and then whatever they do to it and bring it back. Right. You know, producers, you making this beat and you might have a vision for the artist, for the song, and you tell the artist what to do to the song. And most artists won't listen because they have their egos, and you know. But Busta Rhymes listens to everything I say. When I bring him a beat, I give him the vision for the beat. Sometimes I even give him the flow, like, yo, flow like this, how the drums are going, and he'll just do it. And our chemistry is like no other. Like, nobody rhymes over my beats like Busta, because Busta sees the vision.
Well, you've done so many with him, and but my favorite is Give Me Some More, of course. So with that one, do you remember anything specific about the creation of that song?
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Busta just talked about that last night.
Okay.
When I just gave him a new record. I gave Busta that beat for Give Me Some More in 1995.
Wow. So a few years before he
while we were working on his first album. So I gave him that beat for his first album, and he didn't understand the bounce or anything like that because it wasn't out like that at that time.
Very untraditional. Even when it came out, it was still untraditional.
Well, when it came out, Timbaland had that style, was popping with that.
Right.
He had that style popping at the time, but when I gave Busta that beat, nobody was using that type of bounce, and he didn't understand it. So, and it's a lot of records like that. So, so we did the first album, Platinum Plus. Second album, Platinum Plus, and then when we got to the fourth album, he was like, "Yo, you remember that beat you gave me?" Because now at that time, Timbaland is killing.
Okay.
He's killing the game, and that bounce is very popular. You know what I mean? So everybody started using that bounce, and he was like, "Yo, that joint like Timbaland." I'm like, "Yeah." So I pulled it back up, and I gave it to him. I tracked the beat, and I walked out the room to go get something to eat. He wrote and recorded the first two verses in 20 minutes. So, we're wilding out. When we get excited about music, we start fighting. We start body slamming each other in the studio and all of that. So,
okay.
So then I'm like, yo, we played it again, and I said, yo, it's too short. So you need to do another verse. So he went into the other room, and like maybe another half an hour, he came up with the third verse, and that song was done, and it was a Grammy nomination for that single too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a phenomenal song. And I think too that one of the hallmarks of your work, even with from EPMD with Funky Piano on up, is like a lot of very like untraditional, unconventional type of sounds.
Yeah.
So for you, how do you kind of craft that? Because even with Give Me Some More, the bounce is one thing, but even using the psycho music is a whole other dimension of it. So how do you find that you're able to get these different ideas or different sounds than maybe other producers?
I just always approached producing like how I approach DJing. Like, for example, once the Transformer scratch got very popular, from when Jeff did it on, Jazzy Jeff did it on Dr. Union Square, every DJ just wanted to transform.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so I'm like, okay, I can do that, but I want to do something else. Like, I don't want to do what's popular. I want to create something. I want to create something else instead of just everybody doing the same thing. And as far as like producing, the same thing. Like if you really take a look at my discography, I didn't sample the stuff that everybody sampled.
Right.
Like everybody used James Brown. In the 80s, early 90s, everybody sampled James Brown. Everybody. And I'm like, we need to do something different.
So what do you think the genre or the music or whatever, if anything, has lost by not having like scratching being so prominent on like big songs or big singles?
Scratching is one thing, but they're not making music to even scratch on now. And I tell young producers now, like it's a number of things. And first of all of the producers now don't own vinyl. They don't have no record collection. So everybody's using the software of whatever beat program that they're using. So there's the trap drums, and there's this drum kit, and the Just Blaze drum kit, and this drum. You know what I mean? So everybody's using the same 808 kick, snare, and hi-hat. So that's one thing. And then if you're just using that and then there's no type of, it's soulless. That's another thing. There's no soul into the music, and it's not their fault. It's they're using they're using the tools that they have access to.
Right.
So, for example, like a lot of music that we've made, and there's a lot of music that I've produced that I didn't sample at all, because sometimes I just play instruments. But the things that I play is inspired from older music.
Right.
You know, soul music, like 60s, 70s soul and funk. So I'm inspired by listening to that type of music to make new music.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, you know, not to make, you know, the same music but just inspired to make something soulful. You know what I'm saying? And these kids don't have music to inspire them to make soulful music.
Right.
Like songs that are on the radio right now, throwbacks are songs that were 3 years ago. That's what they call throwbacks.
Right.
So these kids don't have the access to the soul that we had. So if you don't have access to any music in the past, how can you make something soulful?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think that's it's an interesting way to approach music, because I think that it is a different type of inspiration, but I also think too it's like people have different motivations. You know, I think that back in the day, as you're well aware, it was to be the best or to be the most creative or to do something that had
be
to
the
be done.
best and be the best in your own lane. And one more thing I wanted to touch on, like as far as soul music, like the music that's being made now doesn't give you goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you heard Rebel Without a Pause come on for the first time, you just
Right.
goosebumps. You know what I'm saying? And that's called soul. That's why they call it soul music, because it touches your soul.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So these kids, you know, they don't have the access to the soul to make soul. So
as a producer, can't you help change or bring that back?
no, it's I can't help change it back. I can just do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But the younger kids need to, and they have to do this on their own, because they're not, you know, the access is not there anymore on radio and on music television.
Mm-hmm.
And but what these kids have to do in order to go forward, you have to go back.
Right.
Listen to the music that your mother, the young kids, your grandmother. Listen to the music that your grandmother used to listen to.
Right.
And that music will inspire you to make greater music. That's how music carried on, you know what I'm saying? So like the music from the 50s inspired the music from this to the 70s,
Right.
so on and so forth. You got to go back to go forward.
Mm-hmm. And then how, like with the stuff that you're doing now on a creative side, like how have you evolved, would you say, beyond everything we discussed? Like how do you look at things now different than what you did like in the, you know, the mid 90s when you were really getting going with it?
I still look at it the same, man, because if it's not broke, don't fix it, man. You know what I mean? Like my approach was always the same, and it always worked. Like every record damn near every record I produced went gold or platinum or more. So I'm not changing anything.
Okay.
You know, it's working. The people love it, and that's all it's about, man. Just give the people what they want. When you're making music, it's about you're making it for them, for the consumer. So, and I say this to a lot of artists, especially artists from the 90s. I just use a simple term. Like I don't smoke or drink, but I use the term of weed.
Mm-hmm.
Like your music, your album is weed. So if you go to the weed spot, weed gate, wherever you go, dispensary. Now they got dispensaries. So you know, wherever you get your weed from, and you go there all the time, you love that weed, right? So the next time you go there, and they switch the weed up because they want to experiment and try some new shit, and you don't like that weed, you're not gonna go there anymore.
Right.
You're gonna go to another weed spot where they got the shit that you like. And that's just how music is. That's how hip hop is. So when the artists, they got their album is popping, the customers are coming. They're buying the records. They're coming to the concerts. But if you want to start switching up from what you did on that first album and start wanting to try other type of styles of music, your fans don't want that. They want the same shit. You know, customers are creatures of habit. Give them the shit that they love. And if you want to experiment on something, experiment on one song. Or maybe even an interlude. But don't change. Because once you change, they're going to move on to the next person. And your album is like weed, so keep giving them that bomb weed, and they keep coming back.
So then for you also, since you have done and do so many different things, like for instance with doing the Beyonce stuff, how are you able to apply what you do and what you've been doing to a crowd that's probably not, your normal demographic?
Because because just simple and plain, I'm a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when the exact year, but the DJ had became partitioned. I don't know when the fuck that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it happened, but I think it was out of DJs becoming lazy with different technologies of DJing. Like before any technology, if you was a DJ, I started DJing in the 70s. So when you was a DJ, you did everything. If there was no turntablist, there wasn't a house DJ, a disco DJ, a party DJ, a reggae DJ, a top 40 DJ. You played everything. You're a DJ, you play everything. You're supposed to do everything. You're supposed to play disco, play hip hop, play classics, play R&B, play rock, whatever you play. And you're supposed to be able to scratch a little bit and cut a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be able to do a little bit of everything.
Right.
And then in the 90s, that shit, DJs just like, you know what? I don't want to do that. I just want to scratch. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But it just became partitioned. So, so now you have a house DJ, a soulful house DJ, a traditional house DJ, a EDM DJ, a hip hop DJ, a underground hip hop DJ, turntablist.
Well, do you think there was any role of that in the evolution of rap in particular? Because we went from the DJ being the focal point to the DJ being in the group to the DJ being kind of just on performing. We went from DJ Eric B. and Rakim, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince being first, to then a DJ, not even existing on stage virtually.
Yeah, once the money got involved, then the rappers got greedy and the DJs got pushed into the background. And then things changed once DJs realized that we don't need MCs, we can just be artists on our own.
So you have a new app or an app that's out that we should talk about?
Yeah, I got a new app. App is called Scratch Vision. Scratch Vision is I have a TV network online, and it's like Facebook, but so imagine Facebook with a TV screen and a chat room, and it's a closed, secure network of thousands of DJs, MCs, producers, and people that just love the culture without the bullshit of Facebook, the arguing and debating and all that stuff. Right. And we do live shows, so so instead of just listening to somebody, you can watch us live. It's completely interactive. And I launched it in 2009. I launched Scratch Vision. So I just have the DJs that people want to see. Like I have Jazzy Jeff, DJ Cash Money, DJ Q-Bert, just all the world's greatest DJs. Grandmaster Flash, The Legends, Red Alert, Grand Wizard Theodore, and and it gives the younger kids the access to the knowledge that TV and radio stopped giving them. And and as technology grew, then I wanted to grow with the technology. And so for example, if I'm on live at 8 o'clock and you're in Africa trying to watch, your time difference is completely different. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And they stay and watch. You know what I'm saying? So it could be like in Japan it's like 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and they're watching. So what I wanted to do is create an app. So you might not be home when we're live. You might be at work, or you might be traveling, or so what I wanted to do is create an app where when we go live, you can watch the show streaming live on the app. So came up with the Scratch Vision app, and of course there's mixes on there, podcasts. I put some of the shows up there, videos and all of that, and just everything else that the website has. It has on the app, right on the mobile joint. So it's dope.
Okay. And then since you did bring up Jazzy Jeff, I want to get your insight as far as Philadelphia DJs, because Jazzy Jeff, Cash Money, Code Money, Tap Money. So why do you think that era there were so many like incredible DJs coming out of Philly when Philly wasn't obviously as big as New York at the time, but it still has some of the premier DJs? Like, what, from either knowing them or talking to them or remembering that stuff, what made them stand out or made them that wave of DJs from Philly so noteworthy?
I think it was because they're right there. It's right, like Philly is right there from New York. You know what I mean? And you know, they didn't have great MCs. They didn't have great MCs, but their DJs were incredible. But honestly, like, there were incredible DJs all over the country. It was just Philly was right there. So Philly got the what's the correct word? Philly got the shine that all of the other DJ, because it's like, for example, there was a DJ out here, Joe Cooley, of course.
DJ Aladdin. Aladdin was
even before Aladdin. It's like even before Aladdin, like Tone Loke's DJ, M Walk. Ooh, this dude was insane.
Yeah, he was a monster.
Insane. And it was just a pocket of DJs around the country, but Philly, like Philly was like, it was Jeff and Cash, really. Like, it was Jeff and Cash were the top tier out there. Everybody else was just doing what Jeff and Cash did. And no disrespect to anybody, but Jeff and Cash were the top tier, and then they had Lightning Rich, rest in peace. Those are the three incredible DJs out of Philly. And then the crazy thing, it was like, my main thing was like, yo, all right, there's dope DJs in Philly, but we do that shit too, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And that was one of the main reasons I wanted to get in the seminar, because I'm like, yo, man, I keep talking about Philly, I'm from Brooklyn, I'm from New York, you know what I mean? Like, I can do that shit. And you know, like, my people around my way, they knew what I can do, but of course the world didn't know, you know what I'm saying? And once they got a chance to see it, was like, oh shit, like, yo, New York do have dope DJs like how the Philly DJs are. And once I got to meet them dudes, like, we've been brothers from that point on. But that impact that Philly had with the DJ scene was incredible, and you can't deny it. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of other DJs too, like it was this DJ in Brooklyn named Professor Paul, and Hitman Howie T, DJ Barry B, Dougie Fresh DJ, insane. But there was a few, man, and there was a few. But Philly is a DJ town, like they're like a blue collar DJ town. You know what I mean? Like, the DJs was like Philly. Like, cats wanted to DJ more than MC out there. So that's why the DJing culture down there is so big and so dominant down there. Like, in New York, people wanted to MC and get that money. Them dudes down there in Philly, they wanted to DJ. So the DJs is monsters out of Philly.
Yeah. I just always, because I'm from Maryland, and that was always amazing to me, just hearing all the different things that they had going on there. Like, because of course.
And Cosmic Cav too. Cosmic Cav in Philly.
Yeah. Because you had, and then on the radio, Lady B, of course, being a pioneer. But like, just with Schoolie D and Steady B coming out and everything, and just having, of course, there's a lot of, especially Schoolie had so much scratching on his records all the time. That really was just eye-opening to me that there was so much of that going on from Philly. But there it is. All right, man. We appreciate you coming through, DJ Scratch.
Thank you.
Pleasure, man. I'm Soren Baker, Unique Access, DJ Scratch.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
It would be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on your MTV Raps with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The history of gangster rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The history of gangster rap in stores now.